Where are the other 9? Were not 10 made clean? Jesus uses an encounter this morning with 10 lepers to really drive home the point about gratitude and how about deep down human beings struggle with demonstrating to God and to others what it means to be thankful. Now, I always like to give a review for those of us who don't know too much about leprosy in the ancient world, probably not part of our crossword puzzles on a normal basis. To remind everyone that leprosy was a huge problem in the ancient world, because not only was there no cure for it, but that for a Jew who was living with this disease, they weren't just excluded from health, they were excluded from the life of their religious community. They weren't allowed to congregate with their brothers and sisters. In fact, if, let's say, I was a leper and Deacon Earl was a clean person, which he is, I'm not going to impugn him. If we were 50 yards apart and I was standing windward of him, I would have to move. If I was walking around town, I'd have to walk around with the bell, yelling before me, unclean, unclean. So you can imagine how isolating this life was, that these people roamed in packs. But all of them have something in common. All of them see Jesus from afar. All of them call out to Jesus, asking to be healed. And all 10 of them are sent by Jesus to be shown to the temple authorities, to the chief priests. Why? Because in showing themselves, they were made clean. You had to, according to the law of Moses, demonstrate that you no longer had any touch of leprosy in order to be reintegrated into the community. So on the way there, their leprosy is healed. Now the interesting thing is that only one of them, upon realizing that he's cured, turns around in mid-walk, goes back, and thanks Jesus for what he's done. And here's the lesson that Jesus wants to drive home. Why is there only one? Weren't 10 made clean? He's trying to show that the focus for these other 9 was in the gift that they received, and not in the one who gave it. And that's going to be a constant theme for humanity. But the ancient world, by no means or measure of the word, has a monopoly on ungratefulness. I can tell this story because she's here and she can refute whether or not any of it's false. My mother used to drag me around to Avon appointments. She used to sell Avon. And I was about 6 or 7 years old, maybe. And you know, growing up in the Hispanic culture, one of the things that you're taught is that even when you are offered something in a person's home, you don't immediately say yes. It's kind of bad manners. So you have to be offered a couple of times. Would you like something? No, really, it's okay. Are you sure? Okay, yes. So this wonderful woman whose home we were in offered me those really nice soda crackers, you know, the tall. And she puts them on a plate and she hands them to me. And I just look at them. But I don't begin to eat them. And she says, "Is everything all right? I mean, what's wrong?" And I say, "No butter?" Now, there were a few choice words. Now, all of them were appropriate for church, though, I will say that. But it shows that even at a young age, we are very prone to doing 2 things. The first is, instead of accepting what we have, we want more. The crackers weren't good enough. They had to have butter. Certain things that we have aren't good enough. We have to have more. And we live in one of the most blessed and abundant societies in the history of civilization. So, of course, commercialism and such have really taken root within us. Every day we see an advertisement for a product that we, quote, need to have. It's the must-have item this year. And I'm guilty of this. I'm a commercialist. My wife is nodding right now. I was like, yes, you are guilty. But we're not, the first thing is that we're not happy with what we have. And the second thing that we do is that we believe that everything we want, we deserve. How many times have we ever heard somebody say, I deserve this? I have earned this. No, I'm not talking about that when we do work, we get paid for it. That's not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is that we forget that everything that we have comes from God. So that everything that we have been given by God, even the ability to go out and work, the health that we have to even go out and work, comes from God. But it doesn't stop us from saying, you know, I'm going to get this for myself. I deserve it. And so as a Christian, this attitude can be very, very dangerous because it's incompatible with the gospel. The gospel reminds us, especially in the person of Jesus, that none of us created ourselves. None of us gave ourselves life. None of us gave ourselves anything in this world. They're all a gift. And that can make us uncomfortable because we're used to this thought that if somebody has given us something, then they have the power to take it away. Think about when we were children and our parents gave us something and say, I'm giving this to you, but I also have the power to take it away from you. That's called parenting. But God says, I'm giving this to you as a free and open gift because I love you. And He does this with everything, not just life, but also our salvation. God gives us the gift of love. He gives us the gift of His Son, not because we deserved it, but because He wanted us to have it. One of the things that I find most criminal is what's happening now in our society. It's been happening, I think, for the last 30 years. And that is that more and more children are abandoning their parents. We see this a lot in our society. If you've ever been to an assisted living facility or a nursing home, and I've been to way too many of them, you see this. People who are alone, people who've been abandoned, their families never come to see them. But weren't these the same parents in many cases who raised their children? Who were there when their children were sick, with fever? I tell my kids at least once a month, get ready. I have changed your diapers. You will change mine. And I may say that in tongue-in-cheek, but it's true. The act of love towards those who love us is a direct sign of gratitude. And that's one thing that we as Christians can do to reverse this trend of ingratitude is to remember those people who love us. Remember them in prayer and remember them in action, visiting them and caring for them. It's an act of mercy. Now God is our Father. And while He doesn't need us to care for Him, He does appreciate acts of gratitude. So what are some of the acts of gratitude that we can do to demonstrate to God that we have not just appreciated what He's given us, but that we've acknowledged that it all comes from Him? Well, the first thing we can do is actually verbalize it. Actually say thank you. I learned this when I was working in an office, that there were two kinds of bosses that people responded to. One was a kind of negative response, the other one was a very positive response. People do not like to work for, in my experience, somebody who never says thank you. If we have worked in an environment, and I have, where you work hard, you do what you're supposed to do, and you go above and beyond the call of duty, and nobody even stops to say, thank you, good job, that really hits us hard. The other side of that is when we work in an environment where somebody says, I know that you were doing just what you do, but I'm thankful that you are here to do it. And so that's the conversation we should be having with God. Lord, thank you for what you have done. Make that part of our daily prayer, to thank God for everything that we have. The second thing that we can do is to come here. To come here and in the presence of God, acknowledge the wonderful gift that He gives us through the Holy Spirit every week, which is the Eucharist. Eucharistia, Eucharist means thanksgiving. It's a sign of our giving thanks. And so when we come to receive and how we come to receive communion is a sign to God of how thankful we are. And last but not least, one of the ways that we show thanks to God is by how we use what He's given us. Yep, stewardship. That wasn't going away. But it's true. If we realize that God has given us every good gift with which to eat and live and breathe and have a home, then we also see that by thanking God and offering a portion of that back, we really show that we're putting faith in God. And as I said before on the first Sunday of our stewardship campaign, it's really easy to get back here and use all of the cliches that people get up and use during stewardship campaigns. Give to God because He gave to you. That's not what we're doing. What we're trying to demonstrate to the Lord is that, Lord, you've given everything to me, guide me and direct me how I should give to you. So this morning, let's come together as a group of people who are thankful for everything that we have. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm with you. I'm thankful that the men are cooking breakfast right now. I'm thankful for our acolyte and our readers and our deacon and our chalice bearers. I'm thankful for the children in the congregation who are going to be meeting today to talk about baptism. And the list goes on and on. Now the wonderful thing is this, and I'll leave you with this thought, is that the more thankful we become, the more gratitude that we show, the more humble we become, and the happier we become. A thankful person is rarely negative. A thankful person is rarely depressed. And that's why as Christians, we're called to be joyful. Amen.